It is 10:14 on a Tuesday morning, not late at night, not the dramatic edge of the bed with the phone screen glowing in the dark, just the cold flat light of a kitchen in a walk-up apartment in East Vancouver, or a basement unit in Brampton, Ontario, or a bungalow in Halifax you split with two others because the vacancy rate is 1%, and you took what you could get. You just finished your first shift, or maybe you are about to start your second. You pour the coffee. The tin of grounds cost $19.99 last week at No Frills. You remember vaguely that this exact tin used to cost $11.99 4 years ago. You do not dwell on that memory because dwelling feels like self-harm. You open your banking app. You are not checking your savings account. You stopped looking 6 months ago because the number does not move. It sits there like a frozen lake, shallow, unchanging. You check it once a month out of habit, not hope. Instead, you are looking at the spending summary, $3,000. That is the number that lands in your account every month after your employer deducts income tax, Canada pension plan contributions, employment insurance premiums, and whatever provincial payroll tax applies where you live. $3,000 is the exact median take-home pay for a single working adult in this country in the spring of 2026. That is not the influencer living in a pre-construction condo in downtown Toronto, filming herself making avocado toast. That is not the couple with 2 engineering salaries and a family lock from the bank of mom and dad. That is just you, a single human being, working 40 hours a week, maybe 45, doing everything right, showing up on time, not calling in sick, not buying the luxury SUV. And yet, you are sitting at the kitchen table trying to figure out why you feel broke, why there is a low hum of financial anxiety that follows you from the moment you wake up to the moment you scroll TikTok in the dark at 1 a.m. Because in 2026 in Canada, $3,000 a month is not a budget. It is a puzzle with missing pieces. It is a physics problem where gravity gets heavier every year, and nobody taught you how to solve it in high school. Let us start with the rent line, because this is where the Canadian dream goes to die. According to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation's April 2026 rental market report, covered in every major newspaper, the average rent for a purpose-built one-bedroom apartment in Vancouver hit $2,650 per month. Let me say that number again, $2,650. That is not a luxury unit with stainless steel appliances and a concierge. That is a building from the 1970s. The windows are single pane. The heating is electric baseboard. The laundry room is in the basement shared with 40 other units, and the dryer takes 3 cycles to dry a pair of jeans. The smell in the hallway is a mix of cigarette smoke, curry, and wet carpet. If you live in Toronto proper, not the suburbs, a one-bedroom in a non-rent-controlled building now averages $2,500. And because it is not rent-controlled, your landlord can raise it by whatever the provincial guideline allows, or more if they file for an above-guideline increase, which they always do. In Calgary, the oil-driven boom of 2025 and 2026 has pushed average rents to $5,800 for a one-bedroom. In Montreal, the last true bastion of affordability, you are looking at $1,600 for something reasonable in Verdun or Hochelaga. In Halifax, where the population exploded during the pandemic and never left, average rent for a one-bedroom is $1,750. Let us do the brutal, undeniable math. If you take home $3,000 per month and pay $1,500 for rent in Calgary, you have $1,000 left. That is for everything else. Food, transportation, internet, phone, utilities, clothing, medicine, a single dinner out with a friend, a single emergency. If you live in Vancouver at $2,650 rent, you do not have $200 left. You have $350 left for the entire month. $350 does not cover groceries. It does not cover a bus pass. You are instantly in a deficit. You are losing money every month. Your bank account is a slowly draining bathtub. The honest truth is that you cannot afford to live alone in Canada's largest job markets on $3,000 a month. The math does not close. It is not about better budgeting or skipping the premium coffee subscription. It is a question of geometry. The square footage of your life does not fit inside the circle of your income. You need a roommate, or a partner who also works. Or you need to live in a basement suite with no windows in the bedroom, which is illegal but widely tolerated because housing is a crisis and city inspectors have given up. So let us assume you are financially rational. You are not a victim. You are not trying to live in a penthouse. You are making the smart choice. You live in a 2-bedroom apartment in a secondary city. Edmonton, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, London, Ontario, Windsor. You split the rent with one roommate. Your portion is $100. You nod to yourself. That feels survivable. That feels like a number you can work with. You now have $900 left for the rest of your human existence. For the month, for 30 days. You walk to the grocery store. In 2026, the Canadian grocery oligopoly, Loblaws, Sobeys, Metro, Walmart Canada, reported a 4th consecutive year of margin expansion. That is a polite way of saying they charged you more because they could, because there was no competition, because the Competition Bureau is underfunded and toothless. Statistics Canada reported in February 2026 that the average monthly grocery bill for a single adult hit $412. Let me be specific about what $412 buys you. Eggs from a cardboard carton, not free range. A loaf of Dempster's bread, not artisanal sourdough. Bananas because they are still cheap. And chicken thighs from the economy pack. A jar of Kraft peanut butter, a bag of no-name pasta, a can of crushed tomatoes, and milk that is 2% because whole milk is for rich people. It does not buy you steak, not fresh salmon, not organic vegetables. It keeps you alive. It does not make you happy. You subtract $412 from fee $900. You are left with $1,488. Now you need to move through the world. Canada is a car country, not Europe, not Tokyo. Unless you live in the downtown core of Vancouver, Toronto, or Montreal, you need a vehicle to get to work, buy groceries, visit family, or have any hope of a social life. Let us say you own a 2018 Honda Civic. It is paid off. You are the smart one. You did not finance a $50,000 pickup at 9% interest. You bought a sensible used Japanese car 4 years ago with cash. Your car insurance in Ontario, where rates are now the highest in North America due to fraud, catastrophic weather claims from the ice storms of 2024 and 2025, and a provincial government captured by the insurance lobby, costs you $185 per month. Gasoline in 2026 averages $1.65 per liter in BC, where the carbon tax increases every April. In Alberta, where the provincial government paused the fuel tax, it averages $1.40. You drive 1,000 kilometers per month on average. That is a commute from the suburbs and back plus weekend errands. That is $160 in fuel. Maintenance, tires, an oil change every 3 months, the occasional parking ticket. Add another $80 per month. Your car costs you $420 per month. If you take public transit instead, the TTC in Toronto costs $156 for a monthly pass. TransLink in Vancouver costs $190 for a 3-zone pass. You save about $250 per month, but you lose 3 hours of your life every day. Standing on a crowded platform, sitting next to a stranger coughing on your neck, watching the train get delayed because of a track problem that happens every Tuesday. Time is money, but when you earn $3,000 a month, your time is valued at roughly $18 per hour, and 3 hours on a bus every day feels like a tax on your soul. Let us give you the car. You are down to $1,060. You pay your cell phone bill. In Canada, we pay the highest telecom prices in the G7. This is not an opinion. It is a statistic from the CRTC and the OECD. A modest plan with 20 gigabytes of data from Rogers, Bell, or TELUS costs $85 per month after you call and threaten to cancel, and they apply their loyalty discount. The base price is $105. You pay for internet at home so you can apply for better jobs, watch YouTube videos about personal finance at 11 p.m., and maintain a shred of connection to the outside world. That costs $75. You pay for Netflix, Spotify, a VPN because you are trying to save money by sharing a family plan with 3 friends. That is $35. Your connectivity totals $195. You are down to $868. You have to heat your apartment. In Alberta and BC, carbon pricing in 2026 has made natural gas significantly more expensive. In Quebec, it is cheap because of Hydro-Quebec. In the Maritimes, people burn heating oil, which is criminal given current oil prices. Average utilities for a renter, including heat, water, and 1 light bulb you never turn off, $85. You are down to $783. You have not bought new clothes in 4 months. The winter jacket you are wearing has a tear in the armpit that you sewed closed. Your running shoes have a hole in the toe, but it is small, and you tell yourself it is ventilation. You have not been to the dentist in 2 years. Your teeth feel fine mostly, but your gums bleed a little when you floss. You tell yourself that is normal. It is not. But a dental cleaning without insurance costs $250, and that is a week of groceries. You have not taken a flight anywhere since before the pandemic. You have not seen the ocean. You have not visited your parents in 3 years because a round-trip flight costs $600. You have $783 left. This is your disposable income, the money that is supposed to make life worth living. The budget for joy, spontaneity, a movie, a birthday gift, a pub with a coworker, one single moment of relief in a 30-day month. Now let us watch what happens when you try to save. According to Statistics Canada's latest national balance sheet accounts, released in March 2026, the average savings rate for the bottom 60% of earners in Q1 2026 fell to -1.2%. Let me translate. -1.2% means that the majority of Canadians earning $3,000 a month are not saving any money. They are burning principal. They are drawing down whatever tiny buffer they had. They are putting groceries on a credit card at 21.99% because their paycheck ran out on the 22nd day and they still need to eat for 8 more days. This is the financialization of poverty. It is slow, quiet. It does not look like the homelessness crisis on the news. It looks like a woman in her early 30s, sitting in her kitchen at 10:14 a.m., doing math on her phone, realizing she is sinking. If you are in the top 10% of financial discipline in this country, if you watch hour-long YouTube videos about personal finance instead of Netflix, you might try to save 10% of your take-home pay. That is $300 per month. But here is the trap. The cruel irony that nobody puts on a motivational poster. To save $300 per month, you have to survive on the remaining $483 of fun money for the entire month. That is $16 per day. Let me tell you what $16 buys you in a mid-sized Canadian city in 2026. A single pint of craft beer at a brew pub costs $9. Add a 15% tip and that pint costs $10. 35s, you have $5. 65 left for the rest of the day. A movie ticket at Cineplex on Tuesday discount night costs $12. You cannot afford popcorn or soda. You sit in the dark watching trailers, trying not to think about spending 40% of your daily budget on 2 hours of escapism. A fast food combo at McDonald's, Big Mac, medium fries, medium Coke, costs $14. You have $2 left. You cannot afford the bus ride home. A latte and a croissant at a local cafe, the kind of small luxury that used to be normal, costs $12. You have $4 left. You walk home instead of taking the bus. On $16 a day, you can choose one of those things, not two, one. Then you sit in silence. This is the hidden tax of being lower middle class in Canada in 2026. It is not that you are starving or homeless, it is that you are excluded. You are watching the highlight reels of everyone else's life. The coworker who lives at home rent-free, the cousin whose parents paid for their down payment, the friend from high school who works in tech and posts photos from Tulum, and you are eating cold pasta from a Tupperware container in a kitchen that faces a brick wall. You are doing everything right, and you are getting left behind. So why does the personal finance industry keep telling you to skip the latte? Why does every TikTok finance influencer say wealth is built on tiny sacrifices? Because they do not understand the math of the floor. They are playing a game on the second floor. You are trying to dig a basement. There is a concept in behavioral economics called hedonic adaptation. You get a raise, buy a nicer car, feel good for 6 months, then return to your baseline happiness. The thrill fades, you adapt. But there is a reverse version that economists do not talk about enough. Call it the poverty treadmill. When you earn $3,000 a month, you cannot cut enough expenses to leapfrog into wealth. The denominator is too small. You can cancel Disney Plus, bike to work in the snow, eat lentils and rice for 40 days, take cold showers to save on gas. At the absolute maximum, living like a Buddhist monk in a freezing apartment with 4 roommates, eating beans from a can, never seeing a movie, never buying a birthday gift, the most you can squeeze out of that $3 is maybe $700 in savings per month. Maybe, if nothing breaks. At $700 per month, invested in a self-directed TFSA inside a low-cost S&P 500 ETF, earning 7% real after inflation, it will take you roughly 8 years to save your first $100,000. 8 years of monk mode. 8 years of saying no to every invitation. 8 years of watching friends get married, buy houses, have children while you sit on a second-hand futon calculating compound interest. 8 years of your 30s, your prime earning and living years, disappearing like smoke. This is the brutal, unadorned truth of the $3,000 budget. You cannot outsave a low income. You can only out-earn it. Savings rate matters. But income is the lever. Income is the engine. And if your engine is a lawnmower, you are not winning the race. So let us say you reject the premise. You refuse to be poor. You look at that $3,000 on your phone and feel not despair but anger. A clean, useful, focused anger. Let us say you use that $3,000 not as a ceiling but as a launch pad, as fuel, as a down payment on a better version of yourself. Scenario A is the coast path. Most Canadians take this not because they are lazy, but because they are exhausted. You accept the $3,000. Save $300 per month. Drive the 2018 Civic until the wheels fall off, then buy another used Civic. Do this for 30 years. Using the rule of 72, at a 7% real return, that $300 per month turns into roughly $340,000 in today's purchasing power by age 65. $340,000 is not nothing. That is a safety net. The difference between eating cat food in your 70s and eating canned tuna. The ability to fix your furnace, a small weathered cottage somewhere far from the city. But it is not freedom, not early retirement, not quitting your job at 50. It is survival, dignified, narrow, anxious survival. Scenario B is the inconvenience path. Harder, requires short-term pain that feels almost unbearable, but it is the only path to a different zip code. You take that $3,000 and use it to buy a skill, not a luxury, not a vacation, a skill. A trade ticket, an electrician apprenticeship, a welding certification, a power engineering diploma, a coding boot camp that costs $15,000 and takes 6 months of evenings and weekends. You do not put that $300 into the stock market, not yet. For the next 6 to 12 months, you put it into a high-interest savings account. You build a small pile. You use it to pay for a class, an exam, a designation that raises your hourly wage from $25 to $40. Because here is the secret the index fund bros on YouTube do not tell you. The return on your human capital is infinite, literally infinite. If you are earning $3,000 take-home, you are likely earning roughly $50,000 gross. If you invest $15,000 to get a designation that pushes you to $75,000 gross, your take-home jumps to roughly $4,500 per month. You did not win the lottery. You did not inherit money. You just made yourself more valuable to the labor market. And the labor market, cold and uncaring as it is, rewards value. Suddenly, the budget changes. You now have $4,500 coming in every month. Rent still $400. Groceries $412. Car $425. Utilities, phone, internet $280. Fixed costs $2,700. You have $2,083 left. Now you can save $1,000 per month and still have $1,283 left to spend on living, a concert, a trip to Mexico once a year, the good cheese, a new winter jacket. At $1,000 per month at 7% real return, you hit your first $100,000 in just under 5 years, $500,000 in 16 years, $1,000 in 23 years. The budget changed because the income number went up. Everything else is just math. Now let us zoom out. Why is this conversation so urgent in the spring of 2026 specifically? Because the Canadian government changed the rules. Again, as of January 2026, the capital gains inclusion rate increased from 50% to 67% for corporations and trusts. For individuals, the political fight over the $250,000 annual threshold continues to cause chaos. The rules are unsettled. Tax lawyers are making a fortune. But more importantly for you, the TFSA limit for 2026 was confirmed at $7,000. Total cumulative contribution room since 2009 is just over $102,000. If you are 35 today, you can put away $102,000 into an account where every dollar of growth is tax-free forever. No capital gains tax, no dividend tax, no withdrawal tax. It is the best savings vehicle on earth. Americans would commit federal crimes for a TFSA, but you cannot use it if you are spending $2,800 of your $3,000 on rent and pasta and gas. The account is useless if you cannot afford to fill it. So let me paint you the picture of the $3,000 earner who wins, who beats the game, who retires at 58 with a paid-off house and a TFSA worth 7 figures. She is practical. She does not live in Vancouver or Toronto. She lives in Edmonton. She lives with a roommate in a $1,300 two-bedroom in an older neighborhood neath the river valley. Her portion of rent is $650. She pays $100 for utilities. She drives a 2015 Mazda 3 bought for $8,000 cash. Her car insurance in Alberta is $95 per month. She works as a licensed practical nurse. 4 standard shifts per week, plus a 5th every other weekend because overtime is time and a half. Her take-home averages $4,200 per month, not $3,000, because she is grinding while her body is still young enough. But let us stick to the $3,000 earner, the one without overtime, the one who works a flat 40 hours and goes home. The one who wins understands geographic arbitrage. She researches cost of living like a stock picker studies a balance sheet. A one-bedroom in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan rents for $850. Moose Jaw, $800. Red Deer, Alberta, $950. She applies for jobs in those cities. An administrative role at a rural health authority. Same pay as the city, but rent is half. Commute is 7 minutes. She moves. She takes her $3,000 take-home, spends $850 on rent, $400 on groceries, $250 on a car that is ugly but reliable, $120 on utilities and internet. She has $1,380 left. She puts $1,000 into her TFSA every month, like a machine, like a monk, like someone who has seen the math and cannot unsee it. She lives on $380 of fun money, $12 per day, tight, monastic. But possible because she is not paying Vancouver rent. In 2026, this is the secret. Not which index fund, not timing the market, fixed costs. If you can keep housing under 30% of your take-home, you are a financial unicorn. Under 25%, you will be a millionaire. Not maybe. Mathematically, certainly. Because the problem with the $3,000 budget is not the math. It is addition, subtraction, multiplication. A 10-year-old could do it. The problem is the ego. Nobody wants to tell their friends they live in a basement suite in Saskatoon. Nobody wants to update their LinkedIn to Winkler, Manitoba. Nobody wants to drive the 2014 Hyundai Accent with rust on the wheel well, while their cousin pulls up in a financed F-150 that costs more per month than your entire housing budget. But here is the finish line. The number that makes all that ego-driven suffering worth it. If you are 25 today, living in a low-cost Canadian city, earning $3,000 take-home, saving $1,000 per month, earning 7% real return in a globally diversified index fund inside your TFSA, here is the velocity of your life. At 25, negative net worth, maybe $20,000 in student loans, maybe a small car loan. The void stares back. At 30, $70,000, not enough to quit, but enough to survive a layoff, fix your car, sleep through the night without the hum of financial terror. At 35, $180,000 compounding is waking up. Your investment growth now exceeds your monthly savings. The engine is turning over. You feel a strange new sensation, hope. At 40, $380,000. You check your TFSA balance and blink. More money than your parents had for their first house. You tell no one. At 45, $650,000, halfway to $1 million. But the second half comes faster, the rule of 72 in human form. At 51 and 1,000, $1 million Canadian dollars in today's purchasing power. Real money. Life-changing money. At 50, you have $1 million. The famous 4% rule says you can withdraw 4% in the first year of retirement, adjust for inflation, and your money will last at least 30 years. 4% of $1 million is $40,000 per year. That is $3,333 per month, tax-free, because it is inside your TFSA. Add the Canada Pension Plan. The maximum monthly CPP in 2026 for a new retiree at 65 is roughly $1,450. Add Old Age Security, currently $727 per month for low to middle income seniors. Your total retirement income is roughly $5,500 per month, tax-free from the TFSA portion, lightly taxed on CPP and OAS. That is not the Ritz-Carlton, not a yacht, but it is a small cottage in the Maritimes, a winter rental in Mexico for January and February. The ability to quit the job you hate at 55 instead of 67. The ability to buy your grandchildren a birthday present without checking your bank account first. A $3,000 budget is a trap, but it is a trap with a hidden door. And the hidden door is not a meme stock, not leverage, not a second job delivering Uber Eats at 11 p.m., not a crypto portfolio. The hidden door is moving your body to a zip code where the math works. Because in 2026, Canada is not one country economically. It is two. There is the Canada of Toronto and Vancouver, where $3,000 a month buys you a bedroom in a shared apartment, chronic anxiety, and a front row seat to the wealth of the investor class. And there is the Canada of the prairies and the Atlantic, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, rural Alberta, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, where $3,000 a month buys you a down payment on a house in 5 years. Breathing room. A future. You have to choose which Canada you want to live in. The one that looks good on Instagram, with mountain views and sushi restaurants and skyline photos. Or the one that lets you sleep through the night. Back to the kitchen table. Back to the banking app. Back to the $3,000 glowing on your phone screen. The money does not know you are ashamed of it. It does not care if you earned it stacking shelves at No Frills at 3 a.m. or managing a team in an office with a window. The money does not have feelings. It is neutral. A tool. The only thing the money cares about is the spread. The gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap is the only number that matters, not your gross salary, not your net worth. The spread. If you can make that gap 10% wider every year, by earning more, spending less, or both, you will eventually own your life. The timeline might be 10 years, 15, 20, but the math is inexorable. It will happen. If you cannot make the gap wider, if the spread stays flat or goes negative, the gap will own you. You will work until 70. Rent forever. Lie awake wondering where the money went. You have 30 years until the Canadian retirement system looks at you and says, politely with a smile, you are on your own. The Canada Pension Plan will cover a fraction. Old Age Security another fraction. The rest is up to you. The clock is ticking. Every month with a $3,000 income and a $2,900 expense load is a month you cannot get back. Compounding works for you or against you. There is no neutral. The good news is that you are watching this video at 10:14 on a Tuesday morning. You are not asleep, not numbed out on doom scrolling, not pretending everything is fine. You are looking for the door, the hidden exit. The door is real. Thousands of Canadians walk through it every year. They are not smarter or luckier than you. They just made different choices about where to live, what to learn, and where to put their money. The door is just very, very narrow. You have to turn sideways to fit through it. And it starts with a budget of $3,000. A phone screen glowing in a quiet kitchen, and a decision. The same decision every generation of Canadians has faced, dressed up in different clothes. Do you play the game you were given, or do you change the board entirely?